So I'm Caroline, as Kyle said, and today I've been given the opportunity to live out a dream I've had, which is to take something that I'm passionate for and stand before you today and talk about it. So do any of you remember a dream that you had last night? Or maybe even a dream you had a month ago? Or maybe even a dream you had when you were a kid? My dreams can be pretty irrelevant and sometimes ridiculous. I have this dream every now and then about my family being tied up around a pole like Peter Pan and his friends as the Indians and British fight back and forth throwing stuffed animals. Pretty crazy. So as you can see, my dreams can be pretty insignificant and sometimes ridiculous. However, sometimes found in the most creative people are dreams that foreshadow the greatness to come. Walt Disney created the Imagineers, and what he did was he gathered the most creative people into a room and said there were no limits. You were just to dream big. Money wasn't an object. Technology didn't matter. And their job was to dream as big as they possibly could, and that's all they really had to do. So, in Saving Mr. Banks, it illustrates how Disney never settled for anything less than the people's best and most creative ideas. Is there anyone pushing you to be as creative as you possibly can? So I think right now USA is playing Germany in this little thing they call the World Cup, where America actually looks at soccer. 3 weeks ago, no one really knew who John Brooks was, but today millions know him as the substitute who came in for the U.S. to make the winning goal in the U.S. versus Ghana game last week. What a lot of people don't know is the night before he was telling his team about this dream he had, that he was going to make a goal in the 80th minute of the game. And he hadn't played all season, so they were like, okay, sure. Little did they know that the next day in the 86th minute, he would make the winning goal to win the game for the USA. While those dreams happen in our sleep, God places dreams in us in order to further his kingdom and as a hope to the world. Whether that is a dream to save lives in Africa, dream to end poverty in America, or maybe even dream to be a light in the world. Today we are going to look at the unforgettable dreamer, Joseph, in Genesis. So Joseph was the youngest son of Jacob, and he was the favorite child, you could say. He was the youngest of 12 brothers, and he was given this coat by his father, and the older brothers were, I would say, there was hatred. I am the oldest of five kids, and so I see favoritism towards the little one in the family. And if my little brother was given a coat and I was given just a regular t-shirt and jeans, I would be quite jealous, and there would be hatred at some point. However, I don't think I've ever wanted to kill my little brother, at least not today. So we see that Joseph at the time was 17 years old, and he lived in the land of Canaan, and he's given this divine dream. In fact, he was given multiple dreams, and earlier in Genesis, God talks directly to Abraham and Jacob, but this was a new form of communication, and we see it as a dream. So Joseph's first dream was told he was in a field, and his sheaf rose up and stood upright, and his brother's sheaves gathered around and bowed before him. The brothers really didn't know how to process all of this like revelation that was going on, except that their brother must be crazy to think that they would one day bow down before him. Joseph had another dream, and it was the moon and the sun and 11 stars, and they all bowed before him. His father questioned the matter and was confused at the thought, while the brothers just continued to grow with jealousy and hatred. The brothers ended up wanting to kill their brother in fear of the dream, and to know what the fear was, we're not sure. Maybe it was the future, like they didn't know what the future would hold. However, Joseph was ended up sold into slavery, and this began his long journey. So to make a comparison to today's society, a new generation is rising, full of ideas, dreams, and promises. We see Joseph, who is only 17 years old, given this dream, and he ends up saving many lives. Today, are we allowing the younger generation to dream big dreams? Are we nurturing those who do have dreams? Or are we sitting, remaining skeptical, fearing that they don't have what it takes? It all comes down to this simple statement. Which camp do you fall into? The brothers, Jacob, or Joseph? So first, let's camp out with the brothers. There's 11 brothers and years of resentment. Why did Joseph threaten his brothers? Was it the arrogant way that he came about with this dream, or was it something more? In verse 12, Joseph, the brothers leave for this long walk, and something must have happened, and their thought process just kind of got out of control, and they wanted to kill the dream. They literally wanted to kill the dreamer himself. So they began to see the dream as a threat to their own lives and family. So I refer to them as the dream killers. So to take it back to the now, do we see the younger generation's dreams and aspirations as a threat to us? Is it a threat to the wisdom and experience we already have in life? I heard this story once of two little girls with Down syndrome, and it was a youth group, I'm pretty sure, and they were asked, if you could have one dream come true, what would this dream be? And one of the girls said, I would love to make a worship CD, and the other girl wanted to provide every child in the hospital with a stuffed animal. When the counselors heard this, they were like, this is not going to be possible. There's not enough money. Like, with their disabilities, we just know that this can't happen. 2 years later, there was a releasing party for the CD. And in order to go to the releasing party, you had to bring a stuffed animal. By the end of the night, the worship CD was passed out, and there was enough stuffed animals to provide everyone in the children's hospital. It was through the girls' faith and determination that the dream came true. So, to take a step back, we see Reuben, the oldest brother, sway the brother's mind and force his brothers to sell him into slavery instead of killing him. That is when we see God reveal that he is so much greater than the resolve of the brothers, that he was in the midst of everything. So while the brothers thought they were still getting rid of the dream, God knew better. It's the same story for those counselors. They knew that with the disabilities and with money, that it wouldn't happen, except for God remained faithful and allowed these girls to live out their dream. So I ask again, are we sitting, remaining skeptical, fearing that our young generation doesn't have what it takes? Why be dream killers when we know that God is in the midst? The next camp is Camp Jacob, the father figure, the one who raised his son with expectations that his son was to dream. Jacob knew, since his son was given to him in such old age, that there was still a promise awaiting Israel. He shows his favoritism and love towards Joseph and believes that he is the one to do great things. So when Jacob hears the second dream that Joseph has, he's confused and curious, however, he remains hopeful. In verse 11, it says that Jacob kept the matter in mind. See, Joseph is lucky to have a father who is not completely offended by this crazy idea of a father bowing down to his son. Instead, Jacob allows the possibility for Jacob to keep dreaming. I believe that this is a vital stage for young dreamers today, that the dream is not denied, but instead we provide a hope for the young dreamers. In Luke 2, we see this really cool parallel of Mary, who has just delivered God's Son into the world, and everyone around is just amazed, and that is just the talk of the night. In verse 19 of Luke 2, it says, "But Mary treasured up all those things and pondered them in her heart." Mary was not sure at all what was to come, but just like Jacob, she allowed for that hope. Jacob and Mary both recognized the situation in ways others didn't see it. God is placing dreams in a new generation rising, and we need to let them know that we are on their side and that there is a hope in the midst of it all. Finally, we come to Camp Joseph, and little did Joseph know the road ahead of him. When he told the dreams to his family, he doesn't seem very humble about it at all. However, the way I see Joseph telling his family about this dream is he's just trying to impress his older brothers with this cool and awesome dream he had. Joseph knew from his father's love and attention that he was without a doubt different from the rest. And Joseph could have easily feared his brothers and denied the dream with them, or he could have just done exactly what his father did and just remained hopeful without pressing on. But no, Joseph knew he was called for a greater purpose. We see here that Joseph almost lost his life to his own brothers, and then he was sold into slavery. Later in Genesis, we see Joseph is accused and put into prison due to the actions of Potiphar's wife. And then later we see this famine in Egypt that all try to ruin the dream. However, Joseph kept the faith and knew that he was called for a greater purpose. In John 5:17, Jesus said to them, "My Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working." So Joseph kept working toward this dream, when at times it didn't seem like he was going in the path he needed to go. So are you a Joseph? Do you still have dreams, hopes and dreams that God himself has placed you in order to make him known? I am a firm believer that all of us are called for a greater purpose. Not to let the world or Satan take a hold on us, but let the Holy Spirit work within us. What is your greater purpose? Here are some words of one inspiring man who had a dream that would forever change the country we live in today. And they're from MLK, the I Have a Dream speech. And part of it says, "With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day." In Romans 8:28, it says, "And we know in all things that God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." We all have been called for a greater purpose as sons and daughters of Christ. And just like Joseph, we are given dreams. We can either deny the dream, nurture the dream, and keep them in mind, or keep dreaming on. No matter what, God is going to be glorified at the end of the day, because it is by his mercy that we are able to live in these dreams, these dreams he has promised.